this week we're talking about the Treaty of the Union. And what we have is the Union of the Crowns is when Scotland united with England and became one country. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why they did it, some reasons why people liked it, some reasons why people didn't like it, and then you guys are going to do a wee task at the end. Okay, so basically the first thing that you guys are going to do is basically develop an understanding. This is what we're looking to do, develop an understanding of the impact of the group of people having the development of Scotland. That's the skill that you're focusing on. And to do that, you'll be able to explain why Scotland joined with England and examine and look at the different views that Scots had towards the Union. So the first thing I want you guys to do, you can pause the video if you want. I'm just going to try and hide that because the answers are there. Try to come up with why they, or these are reasons why Scots didn't like the reign of William and Mary. And so there's some wee anagrams for you to solve. See if you can figure those out without looking. So, yeah. All right, so task 1 is these are the rules of the treaty. So I want you to copy down the rules from this slide. So write those. You can write it on your worksheet. You can do it on your jotter. You can do whatever. All right. This isn't your turn-in task, but this is something that you should still be doing. All right. So the things that we have is Scotland and England became the United Kingdom. So they became one country. These are things that happened because of the Treaty of the Union. The rulers of the UK had to be Protestant. So not Scots Stuarts. So they had to be Protestants and Overends. And so people kind of had a problem with that because Scots traditionally were still Catholic, a lot of them, majority. No Catholic can ever be king or queen. Parliament was to be in London, and Edinburgh's parliament was closed. So basically Scotland had its own parliament, and then now that was to be dissolved and it was all going to be in London. That changed in 2009 when Scotland got back devolved powers and the ability to have a parliament and stuff like that again. But 16 Scottish lords and 196 English lords in the UK parliament, so you can see a big difference there. But England does have quite a lot more people. And then in the UK parliament there was 45 Scottish MPs versus 513 English MPs. And then Scotland would keep its own legal system, and Scotland would also keep its own church. So the background, I don't want to update just now. The background, basically, Scotland was viewed as essentially like a poor neighbor. So a closer association. For England, English people didn't really see it as an advantage to join with Scotland because Scotland was looked at as a poor country. Queen Anne had only visited Scotland once. So, and England feared being invaded by Scotland because while they were fighting the French. So that was kind of the big benefit that England would have. It wasn't because of anything that in particular economically or anything like that. They wanted to join up with Scotland, but they were afraid that if they left Scotland be on their own, as they did in the past with the Old Alliance and stuff like that, they were in wars with France. They were worried that Scotland would give. They weren't really too worried about Scotland themselves, but they were worried about being invaded by the French via Scotland. So the French troops would go and land in Scotland and then march down to England. So they wanted to make sure they were able to secure their borders as well. So they ended up going through and they passed the Act of the Union by only 41 votes. Robert Burns, who's famous obviously around Dumfries and Galloway, wrote, "We were bought and sold for English gold, such a parcel of rogues in a nation." So basically, they weren't really all that excited about it. And the 1999, I said 2009 earlier, but the Scottish Parliament met for the last time in 1707, and then it didn't meet again until 1999. Right, so color coding. All right, so on this, you'll see this is task 2. So you're going to read through these reasons, and you're going to decide, is that something that's, so here's 2 economic reasons. You're going to choose a color for something that supports the Union, supports joining up with England, and this is one that says you would be against joining up with the Union. So as you go through, you're going to like so say you had this one, and you were gonna say this one was, because it's for the union, so we make it green, and this one is against, so you make it red. You could do whatever you want here. Why is it not? There it is. And you make it, where is it? Color, there. Don't know why it's spelled that way. You just want to spell things differently. All right. So, if you're going to read this, some in Scotland saw the Union as a way of improving Scotland's poor economy, as Scotland would have free access to English colonies. The supporters hoped that they would be able to increase the sale of Scottish national products too. Alright, so you might colour this in, but I would say that as a reason for the Union. That's somebody who supports the Union. So you would make this one green. Alright, that might be the way you do it. You might do it a way if you might colour it in. If you've printed it off, you might do something different. So you're going to go through the reasons and try and do it before you go through. I want you to try and do it before you look at the answers. So read through them, try to decide for yourself, and use the PowerPoint to check your answers. Okay? Alright, then there's a couple of wee questions. Alright, the first one, look at the statements that you've coloured in. Which side do you think makes a stronger argument? Do you think it's better that they stay in that they join with England, or do you think it's better that Scotland stays on its own? And then say why. The next question, what do you think is the most important reason why some Scots were against the Treaty of the Union? So pick out some of these answers, and that are your red ones, or whatever color you did, and decide why, which ones are the most important ones. Okay? Then you're doing task 3, which is taking notes. So there's 4 things that you're taking notes on. So I want you to try to do these in less than 15 words. You see, that's obviously a lot more than 15 words. I want you to take notes from these slides and try and do it in less than 15 words on these. Okay. Then the last thing that you need to do is your turn in task. And on your turn in task, there's a file that says Act of the Union Challenge Cards. I'm just going to pull that up. So when you look at it, there's a bunch of things that you can do. And one thing that I want you to, so there's a total of 11 different things that you can do. This is your turn in task. So you're doing at least one. And I'd like for you to challenge yourself. Oh, there's 12. I'd like for you to challenge yourself. If you take a note of these 3 stars up here, these are the things that are going to be trickier. These are the things that are going to be make you think a wee bit more about how everything goes together. I'd like for you to try and do at least 1 3-star. So there's four different options for a 3-star, and then there's 4 different options, or there's more than 4 for a 2-star. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 2-stars, and then there's 3 1-stars. All right, I'd like for you to try and do maybe, you only have to do 1. So if you're going to do 1, I would like for you to try and do a 3-star. You could do more, so it's a bit of an extension task. So do one of the 3-star maybe, and then find a 2-star or 1-star that you'd like to do. But you have a bit of choice in what you're able to do. Like this one is you create a newspaper article. This one would be write a diary entry. This one would be look at the Act of Union that brought Ireland into it and like kind of compare it, do a fact file. So the last 3-star would be Great Britain exists for 300 years. Create a graffiti board. So if you're a visual learner, that might be something you want to do. All right. Create a new flag for Britain would be a 2-star option that might be fun. Design coins. All right. So the 2-star ones, the 3-star ones are really good because they make you think about sort of what you're going to put on. The 2-star ones and the 1-stars are kind of working you through things. So that are still related. But so try and do 3-star. If you don't feel comfortable doing the 3-star, then that's where you move on. At least a 2-star. But if you could, it'd be nice to do more than one of these choices. If you have any questions, get in touch with your teacher, and I'll speak with you guys soon.